Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It's Town Hall with Mr. Z, and we're back together with you again on a Wednesday evening. It's 7 p.m. and we're kicking off. We are set up for live here in the MPR, but as you can see, I've got a sparse crowd. Wave, everybody. Melissa, Dr. Toke is here, and we'll bring them up in just a little bit to share the various pieces with you tonight. We also have a few people online, so we'll jump right into it. It is March 6th, and it's 7 p.m., and it's time to get started. We always start with the school mission, so always remind everybody about what we're all about. We're determined to be a community that changes the world for the better. That means what we do with kids now and what we actually take action on with kids side by side, but most importantly, what we're preparing kids to do in the future, because they're going to go out and change the world for us. And hopefully for the better, as we all hope, if we've done our job right here. All the other words of our mission is about enabling that and making sure that our kids on board. And I know you all know that because it's our community here together tonight. We also have our affirming, safe, and welcoming motto, a mission, if you will. We want to make sure we're always putting that in front of every meeting. We are a broad diversity of people here at ASW. And that's along all lines, and we want to make sure that everyone always feels safe and welcoming here. We're going to hear a little bit about terrace metrics tonight, which helps us understand how we're doing on that front and how kids are feeling. So we'll try out some of that information tonight. Questions and comments, as always, are possible for you to put in the Facebook stream. I think also our YouTube viewers, if you're out there on YouTube, you should be able to put comments in as well, and we'll be able to put them up on the screen and answer them tonight. We'll have plenty of Q&A time, so please feel free to put these out as we go through the evening. If you can't get to those two, or if you're watching on LinkedIn or Twitter, you can text me at the number that's there on the screen. Make note of that. Take a quick picture of it so that you can reach out with your questions via text message. And I've got my phone set up so that I can receive those as well as the comments that'll be coming in throughout the night. Remember that our recordings are also saved on our Facebook parent page and also through our podcast channel. Go back to Mondays Weekly. You'll find the links to all of that and all of our historical content as well. And with that, we're going to bring in a quick diploma program update. So please join me in welcoming Lagita to the stage. Lagita, good evening, dear. How are you doing?
Good evening. Thank you, John. Good. Everything's good. I'm very excited. We in DP, we're very busy, and it's not surprising. We have a few deadlines coming up, and that's March the 15th. And guess what? We have all the extended essays in, ready to be uploaded.
Oh, its essays are in. Yay!
TOK essays are in IBIS already. Again, we have met the deadline well in advance. Well, that students received, the 12th grade students received their identification number. So in English class, all of them have, not all of them, high-level essays were uploaded. So that is in too. And yes, we moving forward, and we in advance with our deadlines. I think it's great. We have CAS interviews as well. Thank you for coaches. And we have mock exams coming up. That's March 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th. We're ready for these two. So yeah.
Brilliant. So we had our first session of mocks for the couple of groups, and now we're coming up on the bigger set that's coming up, and there's still time after that for revision and for taking a look at how to get ready for exams. And then remind us, when do exams actually kick off then?
I started just before May, so we have the first 3 weeks in May, and our students will be busy. They're getting ready now, and I know that the mock exams that took place on February the 14th and 15th, they have all of them have feedback, except I think business management. So students studying hard, looking at their feedback, just to make sure that they input that feedback in the future exams.
So all is good. So again, parents, if you have any questions for Lagita, please feel free to fill them into the chat stream. What's your sense of our 11th graders? I know they're also kind of starting on their pathway. How does their transition in the coming months look as they go into planning for next year?
In March, they will meet their supervisors. They will have actually the first draft of extended essays. So it's also a big celebration for them. They will be meeting with their supervisors, but also having a lot of work done already for the extended essays. They involve CAS, and they getting also ready for the end of year.
Well, that's brilliant. So we're all set and everything seems to be going well.
Everything seems to be going well. Absolutely. We, as I mentioned in 12th grade, we have math coming up and chemistry, biology, computer science, also environmental studies as well. So the schedule is almost finalized, and I would like to say thank you to the PTO for agreeing to actually help us out with proctoring and being invigilators. So we have a strong cohort of moms who are ready to help us out with watching students while they're taking exams.
And we should also mention the PTO's been brilliant in taking care of the kids on the exam days as well. So treats have flowed and we've had lots of good tasty bits so that kids are nourished and taken care of through the whole process. So PTO, thank you out there as always for all that you do to take care of our kids in these important processes. All right, well, anything from the audience here or anything else to check? Well, Lakita, thank you. I know this was just a quick dipstick to have it on the table so that people could see how things were going. We want to thank you again for stepping into this role and taking over. You're doing a brilliant job. The thank yous are coming in on the screen as well, so there you go. But really brilliant, and it's so good to hear that our kids are doing well and getting ready and on that pathway that starts their journey into the things that come after high school. So I know they're all thinking about that at the same time. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the teachers and thank you for the parent community. This is excellent work is being done. So this is the teamwork, and so thank you to everybody.
Thanks, Lakita. Good night now. All right, so that gets us into the DP program. Again, we just thought it was important to give you a quick update to make sure that you're aware of how things are going, and they are going swimmingly well, as you can hear. Kids beating deadlines and making sure that they have everything in play so that they can have the best and firmest footing for what comes next. So thank you, Lakita, for joining us tonight, for sharing that with us. All right, we're going to move on to our board update. And to help me tonight on screen, Mr. Peter Hootie, who is a member of the governance committee and my partner in orchestrating board elections. Peter, joining me. Peter, good evening, sir, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure. And we have one of our candidates here who is with us, Dr. Kristen Toka, who we had a pleasure to meet a couple of weeks ago and discuss his ideas about why he wants to join the board and ideas that he would like to implement. So it's a great honor that, and we're very, very pleased, to have such a well-qualified candidate to represent our school. So maybe
we probably should start, Peter, with a little bit of backdrop. Do you want to give like the orientation of what we do each year about this time?
Yeah, of course, so the election, so we have the whole process, which actually, commenced last year as well. So in terms of getting people prepared and so forth. So we have training sessions that John, maybe you want to say, in terms of what was covered during those sessions. So we are preparing those candidates to have the knowledge about the board and the tasks and responsibilities which come with it. And we're very happy that we've run through this process, and now we're at the very tail end of it.
Yeah. So to give everybody additional information, yes, we have the training sessions, and those go through nonprofit board governance. So it teaches the basic concepts. And Dr. Toka was in my most recent class in January, so it was exciting to have him there. And also, the board goes through a process every year where we have 2 stages. One stage is appointments, and we finished those at our February board meeting, and so we appointed our new board members. We'll come back and have everybody here when our process is complete so that there is plenty of time to welcome new board members before they take on their new positions come July. The appointments include a lot of familiar faces, people that we're simply shuffling between positions to make sure that we keep them on the board and maintain their longevity. And then we move into the election process. And normally we have 2 positions each year that we are electing, one US, one non-US position. This year, we've got only 1 candidate for the non-US seat. We will still go through an election and voting process because we must do that to comply with our bylaws. Dr. Toka is going to be introduced in just a moment, he is running unopposed, and so you'll be voting for him in that election process. And we're still seeking individuals who would like to step forward to potentially serve in the US seat. And so we are still seeking candidates. Maybe you want to say a word about that, Peter, that we are still vetting and seeking additional people who may be willing to serve.
Yes, we'll very much appreciate further involvement from the U.S. community, and we're hoping that we'll get a few candidates before the elections. So if you have any, we highly encourage you to consider, because it's such a worthy position to be in, to actually participate in the decision-making process, setting the strategy for the school, and also meeting incredibly nice and interesting people in the process, as I have had the pleasure having been on the board now for about 7 years. So it's a very rewarding experience, and I would like to encourage everybody to consider.
Absolutely. All right, well, with that, I'm going to move us ahead, and Peter, I'll keep you here in case you want to ask any questions or do anything further with Dr. Toka. But Dr. Toka, I'm going to invite you to come up and join me on stage, as it were. Welcome to you, and thank you for joining us tonight. So I'm going to leave everybody. I'm going to actually take Dr. Toka's seat. I'm going to let him talk to you. So why don't you start by just introducing yourself to our community that's online.
Thank you so much, and it's really a great pleasure to be here. And maybe it's a bit counterproductive to start with that, but I'd like to really encourage others to join to this competition, because I love competitions. So it would be like just enriching this whole experience. So a few words about, maybe to start with my kids. We have 2 children in the school, Chongol, who is grade 5, and Zeke, who is grade 3. This is our 3rd international school experience. We lived in Switzerland, where my kids were at the International School of Zug and Lucerne, and then we moved to Budapest, to AISB, where we actually spent also 3.5 years. A little bit of myself and why I think I qualify for that role. First of all, my professional background, I'm a medical doctor and health economist. I really truly have passion for science. However, I actually quite long time ago moved to more management positions. Currently, I serve as a head of the board for Amgen, which is a biotechnology company based in the United States, and we have an affiliate here in Poland. In the past, I was also serving different boards, like American Chamber of Commerce in Budapest for 2 years, another like innovative pharmaceutical association board for 3.5 years, and also another one in parallel as a supervisory board member, and then as a board member also for a couple of years. So I have, I can say, some experience, or quite extensive experience, as a board member of different commercial and non-commercial organizations. What I think, how I can serve the board and why I would like to join the board is basically 2 things. A little bit leveraging my commercial experience and strategic planning, management, and decision making. I think in the board it could be useful. Second thing, about the program or about my vision as a board member is connected to 2 things. First of all, I think in the current environment, and everything is changing around us, it has an impact on our students, on the staff, and on us as parents. Change management is really very important. I can bring a bit more customer centricity in terms of the change management, which is one of the most important pillars, I believe. And second is the transparent and continuous high quality communication. Also, as my scientific background, I truly believe it's very important to prepare the students for the 21st century challenges, focus on scientific education, and also to provide them tools and skills also to cope with probably the backside of this scientific evolution that is in the current world, like artificial intelligence, social media, impact on this information overload and mental health on our students, that they can cope with these challenges, because I think this is very important to contribute to their success. As an introduction, probably that's it, what I was thinking about, and if you have any questions, I'm very happy to respond.
So I have a question up there about the process. I'll come back and deal with that later. But Dr. Toka, since it was brought up by Peter, I wondered what your reaction to the governance training was, and to some of the other individuals that were with you in the group.
Yeah, actually, I thought it's very comprehensive. I think it's really state of the art. It was a good, I would say, education for myself as well. However, as mentioned, I have some experience in that regard. And I was actually fascinated by, how the school is governed and how sophisticated the system is for the governance.
Peter, any questions from you?
Well, in terms of, we mentioned this when we spoke a couple of weeks ago. Do you feel that with your qualifications you'll be suited for certain committees, certain areas of expertise that we could use?
Yes, my plan is to join the risk management committee and the advancement committee. Right, that was the two choices I was thinking about. But I have to admit, I haven't had the chance to join none of the committees so far. But I wish to join.
And you'll have plenty of opportunity, obviously.
Right.
I'm not seeing any other questions on the screen at this point, but please feel free to drop them in. But again, Dr. Toka, it's so great to have you here and to be able to introduce you to the community. You want to share any final words before we move into election tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm up for the competition.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Oh, here's a question.
Oh, and
Here's a
there's one.
question
Wait.
For you. Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
No, I haven't had the chance to serve on school boards yet.
Yeah. Yours was more, is more leadership and obviously driving strategic direction from the C-suite, I guess we'd say. So, but you have the interaction with boards that you've worked with over time, as I remember.
No, that's a great question.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Great. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. See, I'm going to pop this down for just a second here. Let's go here. So Peter, I just want to throw this other question up, and you maybe can help me answer it, but it's explaining why the serving term for elected board members is 2 years and 3 years for, I believe, appointed trustees. In actuality, if you read the bylaws, the appointed can be 1, 2, or 3 years at the discretion of the governance committee. So when they look at candidates and they look at various balances of longevity, they of course are looking for longevity amongst board members. But the elected are done on a 2-year cycle because we do 2 positions each year. And so they're balanced against each other so that we have a minimal number of open positions each year. So, but that's the cycle, and it's the way the bylaws are currently written.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was going to say that's the way the bylaws work, and it has proved to be a very effective way of managing the board's transition. And so it's we having been on the board for a number of years, this has proven to be a very effective and productive way of managing the board transition.
So that helps to explain, again, the board bylaws are available in our parent portal. You can go in there and you can read in the bylaws about elections and how they're structured. And so you can see there the differentiation of the term limits. And again, it's governance committee looking at reducing the amount of turnover each year that determines whether they offer a 1, 2, or 3-year term to appointed individuals, and the election stays on a parallel cycle. So they always stay kind of in tandem with each other. So it's always 2 positions that we're electing each year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, all right, so Peter, I think I'll let you go at this point in time unless you want to offer any additional comments. Ballots come out tomorrow. They come out as a direct link to a ballot that's coded to you. It's still an anonymous ballot, but it does allow us to know if people have not yet submitted a ballot, so we can send reminders over the next week or so as we get ready for counting the ballots so that we can validate them at the March board meeting that's coming up fairly shortly. So you have about a week to submit your ballot, and you'll get at least 2 reminders during the week. And we'll make sure that we get as many votes as possible before certifying that election.
Yes, if I can just say, please vote, get involved. We just had Super Tuesday, so I think it'll be good for us to.
There you go. Model for your.
Again, and exactly.
And I know, again, I'm going to explain. I know that Dr. Toka is running unopposed for this position, but this is an important part of our process, and we do require getting votes from the school association in order to be able to certify the election. So thank you very much. Yes, and that answers that question. I do want to say it again. I said it at the beginning. We only have Dr. Toka, who is running for the non-US position, running for election at this time. And we are still looking, and we could run an additional supplementary election. We are still looking for candidates for the US position that are willing to run. And so, again, this is just candidates that we have, and Dr. Toka is eminently qualified, and we're excited to be able to put him on the ballot and put him in front of you. Okay? Peter, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate your help and your partnership, and we'll be talking about elections at the PTO Coffee on Friday as well.
Yes, I'll be there as well. Looking forward to that. Thank you.
All right, have a good evening. All right, there's a few questions coming up, so I'll try to tackle them, and then we'll move into the next segment. So there's a question about certified psychologists. So we have 1 certified psychologist on staff for the school. Most international schools, that's actually a luxury. Most of our psychological work is usually outsourced to therapists and other providers. But as an international school, we made a commitment to making sure that we have an educational psychologist on staff that can work with our students. And so that is something that we do. Recently added to our staff just this, I think it's about a year ago. Last year was our first year. So we're excited that we have that, and we will continue to provide that on our staffing. Let's see, how will open spaces be used? Well, we'll talk more about facilities, I think, next time, and you can also look back at other things that we have talked about there. We are going to a collaborative model and the way in which we're booking and more effectively utilizing space. And that's a longer conversation. We'll come back on that in more specifics at a later time. That is the first time in the last 60 years we have no candidates. Possibly, I don't have all the records on that. I do know that there have been unopposed on a fairly regular basis for the last number of years that I've been here. And so it's not uncommon to have an unopposed position, but in terms of being lacking a candidate for the US, that probably is first time in a while that I can remember as well. For the US position, correct. Okay, question about facilities. Can you assure that after renovation, will the number of classrooms be the same or greater to ensure the space for future growth? It'll be greater. It's more collaborative spaces and unique spaces and spaces that we'll be able to use effectively. We didn't change. We actually added square meters to the overall building. So there are plenty of spaces to go around. We're going to be using them differently and using them more effectively, and that will prepare us for the future. Remember, we're a school and a board that made a decision early in the process not to grow. We are not increasing the population. We're planning to stabilize our population at a certain level and maintain it there. And so that as a part of that, that means that the work that we're doing is renovation. 60% of this is more about upgrading the facility with necessary infrastructure that was aging and needed replacement. You saw the pictures of our boiler room, for example, that's been completely brought up to modern standards. And you see the work going on in the hallways that's adding the necessary infrastructure that will bring this 23-year-old main building up to the same standards as would be expected today. So the additional spaces and the reconfiguration of spaces will actually create new space and additional space. And we're just going to use it differently. We're going to use it in a way that makes it flexible and more effectively usable and more effectively utilized. And that's been stated before in other presentations, and we continue to come back with that message. Let's see, budget-wise, what is included in the business office expense category? Over $500,000 US compared to the entire upper school with around 600 students. I can't speak to that specifically. I don't have budget information in front of me, but many of the things in VAT and taxes and other business office items that also are connected to things in other budgets are in that category. And to answer that question, I'd really have to have Jim here, which I can schedule for our next town hall and give you more deeper insight into the budget. What is budget for elementary schools is not listed in the financial report at the last board meeting. I think it was, but I will have to again go back and check that. I didn't come with financial information tonight, and I won't be able to answer those specific questions. But we can do a session at our next town hall where we can go through specific budgetary items. Green elements of the new faster facility plan. Well, the main one was the window replacement. We replaced all of the windows throughout the building, which is triple pane glass, and we can actually show the infrared scanners. That's about really reducing our energy consumption and keeping the energy in the building. And that includes the skylights. They were also the same level of insulation to make sure that we're doing energy consumption conservation. You may have seen over the week that we installed the new lighting in the gym. That's all LED lighting, so it's reducing our electrical consumption there significantly. And that will be the same for lighting throughout the building. So all of the lighting is going to low energy LED lighting that's actually brighter and better, but that will reduce our electrical consumption significantly across the whole building. There are additional things in terms of the HVAC and how we're circulating air in order to conserve that as well. And then we're looking at different things that we can add as we renovate the kitchen in order to do more reclamation of organic waste. And so that's in the plan as well when we get to that in phase 2. So please know that green has been on our target, and then the solar panels and those kinds of things will come later as after installations, and we'll be addressing that as well. Of course, in this latitude, it's not as good of a thing to do. You don't get as much sunlight at this latitude, so the payback in terms of the offset is still in development, but we do believe that there's going to be a place for us to be able to do that. Let's see. Please share with me where you see this. It's not accurate. I'm not sure what you're referring to. So let me just put that in advance. And again, if we need to do some specific things, feel free to reach out to us on info@AS Warsaw, and I'll do my best to make sure that we get a response. I see construction workers park in ASW parking. We've asked them not to, and we are intervening when that happens. We are preserving the parking for us. They had a couple of permits and occasional use, but they're not supposed to be in the parking lot. And so please just let us know if you see that, and we'll happily take care of that. There's only a couple in the high school parking lot. ES is practically empty, about 10 parked cars this AM versus 95%. I'm guessing that's one of my staff members helping weigh in. Let's see. Let's about total cost of renovation, including the annex to the agreement. So the annex was approved as part of our most recent board meeting, and it's a typical annex to an overall cost of construction. But again, I don't want to quote numbers here because I don't have them in front of me. And so please let us come back with a full financial dialogue, and certainly we'll be talking about this at the next board meeting as well. And there's again answer. They don't have permission to park except for a few of the site managers, roughly 5 to 7, but they were not here all at the same time. Some trucks do come in to drop heavy equipment, but they're supposed to be. All right, so there you go. And I think that's, again, that's my team out there that's also on the Facebook Live helping to give us information as we go along. Okay, again, I'll come back to this in due course and continue to answer questions as best I can. I'm going to answer this one, and I really don't think as a community we should be putting out individual incidents of students. And I'm not going to talk about individual students. We take care of kids, and when incidents come up, it's appropriate for us to take action to take care of those kids. And it has nothing to do with lack of supervision. In fact, the supervision is what ultimately identified the students. So please, let's not bring incidents like that into this kind of a community setting, because it's really not appropriate to do that. It's not fair to the individuals involved, and it has nothing to do with the supervision. We actively supervise, even in the restrooms, and that's a myth that has been perpetuated. We do respect spaces on the basis of child protection, but that doesn't mean we don't supervise. We do. Curriculum resources is empty, cannot be added. I think the curriculum resources is in a different section. You may be seeing an old link. I will check on that and make sure that that's updated. But I think it's in a different area. And if you look at the menu on the left-hand side, you'll be able to find it. Okay. Well, let's, Melissa, maybe we can talk about highly able here in a moment, but let's make our segue to our discussion about Terrace metrics and see if we can bring that on board.
Well, I do see a message that I would love to know what email they may be sending something to.
Yeah, it may be that you're going to the wrong email, and that's why it's not getting responded to. We don't know exactly what you're speaking to. That's the kind of question you should use info@aswarsaw.org, and we'll make sure it gets to the right place and it gets responded to. And we've been very good about responding to those messages, so please just come to us and we'll be happy to take that on. Again, write to us at info and we'll be happy to follow up on that.
If I do see that maybe the email, they've spelled my name wrong. So if they've sent an email with that spelling, I would not be getting it.
So you understand that Schaub is spelled incorrectly in this text message, and it's SCHAUB. And so that's the address you're using, then that's probably the reason why the message is not going through and not being responded to. And again, if it's not, and you think you're mailing to that, then please reach out to info or give us a phone call and we'll track down why the emails are not coming through. I'm not sure what this question is referring to. Upward feedback from kids to help teachers understand. Yes, we have a massive profile system that's sharing information as kids go through our system year to year. That's always been in place in one form or another, and so we're doing that on an active basis. Okay. All right, I do want to just take a moment to talk about the director search that's in play. You got Sarah's message this morning, and Carla Walsworth is working on that. So please know that process is in place. Jeremy Lewis will be with us next week from Search Associates, the consultant that's been chosen by the board. And he'll be meeting with various stakeholder groups during that week to get a general sense of us and to help build the profile for the director search that will start in earnest in the coming weeks with hopes of potential candidates visiting the school sometime in May. So you'll get more information from the board on the process and how we're progressing and how we're moving towards that ultimate decision. With that, We're going to move into turning data into action for learning and taking action to be affirming, safe, and welcoming. And so we'll bring Melissa Schaub up and let's talk about Terrace Metrics. And you know how to click here, right? Next
Yes.
slide. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna leave it to you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. Yes, I do, just quickly before we go into this, I want to make sure mschaub, mschaub@aswarsaw.org, please feel free to email me. I always love to take parent email. I don't always get them, and so would be very, very happy to talk about any question you may have, especially related to gifted and talented. Tonight, what we're going to be talking about, we're just sharing with you, I'm looking for this, sharing with you our Terrace Metrics results coming from January. So we are now in our fourth survey administration period. And again, this has been an opportunity for us to learn about an instrument that gives us some really important information about the behavioral health of our students. You will remember, hopefully, from any of the information that has gone out, that this is not a diagnostic tool of any kind. We are looking at indicators that give us a sense of how kids are doing overall in terms of their learning. And we want to know how any part of the wellness side of their lives may be supporting and strengthening that learning, or if there's something that could potentially be causing any gap in the learning. So just sharing out a little bit, we have some information here which just gives us overall resiliency and wellness across the indicators that have been provided. This is for grades 3 and 5. And so you can take a look, going from right to left, we look at fall 2022 all the way to our winter scores. And so we're taking a look at very specifically satisfactory and optimal in terms of how that grows. That gives us our positive factors. We also then want to take a look at the may need assistance. May need assistance gives our counselors an immediate access line to kids who may be showing any of those specific results. We were excited here, 87% of our kids, or excuse me, 84% of our kids in grades 3 through 5 were scoring in satisfactory to optimal, and that was a 4% increase overall from the fall survey time. And we didn't have any may need to be assisted in this particular testing, which shows a distribution of scores into the real positive range. That was very, very good news for us. We're also taking a look at the elevated adversity scores just to get a sense of what that means for us. This is generally the bullying, and they label it as victimization and also aggression. And so that first one, frequent victimization, is generally a student reporting that something has happened to them. And the other one is actually somebody saying that they have bullied someone else or that they have been aggressive to another student. And so we've been watching that across the 4 different periods. And what we're looking at is below 1%. So it stayed similar between fall 2023 and winter. And then we are at 0% reported in the winter score. So this just gives us that sense of making sure we're watching and seeing what our kids are telling us about interactions within that victimization perspective. When we take a look at the overall resiliency and wellness scores for grades 6 through 8, we're looking at a 54% increase in the satisfactory and optimal ranges from fall. And we're also seeing a 4% increase in the actual may need assistance. And so that was a 3% increase from the fall. So we had 4% there, and it was an increase of 3%. That's probably 1 or 2 potentially kids who may be reporting an area that may be disturbing them. And so that's something that we take a look at. We want to watch the patterns and the trends. But again, the distributions of the scores are leaning into that positive range. And when we do have any may need assistance, our counselors, that is the first place that they go when they receive the scores, is to be able to check in on the students and see what may be needed. Within grades 6 through 8 as well, again, looking here at the victimization and the aggression, we are seeing it moved to 1% in terms of some reporting, and then it stayed the same at below a 1% in terms of those reporting that they potentially have engaged in any kind of aggressive behavior. We had a new indicator this time, which was self-criticism, and that really is about how kids are feeling about themselves, and this is just in an attempt to little by little take a look at some different indicators. We don't have any pattern here because it was a new score, and so we're looking at 7% here in terms of students who reported potentially how they're interacting with themselves and their own thinking and that sense of criticizing self. So this is an important one that we're going to need to be learning about since it's the first time that we are reporting it. And then as we move into grades 9 to 12, we have a 57% increase in satisfactory and 57% are satisfactory and optimal. We actually had a decrease in terms of may need assistance. It was a 3% decrease from the fall score. However, we've got 4% of them noting that there is some need for assistance. This is just information for us that's really helpful as we're thinking through, especially the kids who are in high school, watching our seniors right now because they have moved into some stressful times as they finish up all of those various essays that Ligita told us about earlier. They have moved into their mocks and are moving to exams, as well as really thinking about universities, those conditional scores that they're thinking about. So watching along the spectrum as well. And then in this very last elevated adversity report, we are seeing straight across the board that victimization at below 1%, and then that aggression to others being actually at 0% this particular time. Self-criticism for this set of grade levels was at 5%. So again, on that particular one, we have a lot to learn because we've never actually pulled that score. So we'll have hopefully more to be thinking about around that and how we're supporting kids in this area to come. So there are a couple of questions. Let's see. What specific actions have been taken based on the data collected through Terrace metrics? At this point, because there are a couple of things. Firstly, when we see any of our students, let me go back here for just a moment. When we see, again, any of our students who are falling into this particular may need assistance range, that is where our counselors will go in and work with them. Those cases have been reported from our counselors as students who have already been on their radar. We have not found that there have been a lot of surprises. They have confirmed that they had already been working with these students. And so that may be through the counseling range, that could be in just supporting them with strategies, skill development. In terms of the overall curriculum, we do have our health curriculum, which doesn't necessarily target the indicators that are here, but that is something that is in place, that is continually supporting our students in terms of the social emotional learning and any other aspects of knowing themselves as learners. We are in a curriculum review on health, and the idea around that is to really be targeting how we are looking at our curriculum and how these scores can help us support kids in any particular grade, or just keeping in mind what is a typical trend across specific developmental ages and knowing what may be needed to support those specific stages that they may be in. Let's see, why are we focusing on aggression if clearly that is not a problem, less than 1%? I'm not certain about your question around focusing on it. It was an opportunity for us just to be able to learn more. It's important for us to get a sense of how kids are feeling in terms of their overall safety. With our affirming, safe, and welcoming commitment, we want to know. And so these scores give us some indication. They're really, really low, which is a very big positive for us, because if they were to rise, we would need to really move into understanding what might be happening. But right now, they're very, very low. You see the 0 to 1, 0, and below 1% levels. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to speak to business questions. I'm just taking a look here. Anything Terrace metrics? Terrace metrics measures how kids feel. What measures do we have to account for academic results and progress on a school level? Absolutely, Terrace metrics is really about it's social, emotional health, their behavioral health, which is absolutely essential to their sense of self-esteem, confidence. These are really, really critical in terms of how they lean into learning. In terms of all of the academics, we have a variety of different measures. We look at our math scores. We have a variety of different literacy and math assessments that give us some standardized data results in the elementary. And we, of course, are always looking at our in-house scoring as it relates to our criteria through our MYP program, the DP programs, and what our overall grades are telling us. And we try to take a look at those different measures and triangulate them to get a sense of overall development. I think that may be all on Terrace metrics. ES 0.6.
That's budget really.
Oh, okay,
I'll get
okay,
back
all right,
to that.
sorry. Can we please have the meeting with the parents regarding results of the MAP test? If you're looking for individual meetings to understand your child's overall performance with MAP, of course, we are always here. Any of us are available to sit down with you and talk with you. That could be the principals. It could be a learning coach. I am always happy to help. Please just reach out, let me know. That would be great. In terms of overall scores, we do put that into our board reports. And I will be giving, whenever that happens, I give the overall, just kind of the overall distribution of how we're doing. We look at it based on an actual assessment period, but we also take a look at it over time to see how our kids are growing, both at the cohort level, their graduation date, that same group of kids, as well as what a specific grade level of kids that, learning within that grade level over time. So happy to do that always. I believe you're talking here. No, I am talking about community
So
meetings.
coffee or something.
Oh, happy to do that. Yep,
We'll
absolutely.
look on the calendar and see if we can
Happy to
schedule a
do
call.
that, for sure. Yep, absolutely. Happy to do that. We did do that in the fall, and we had for MAP specifically. We did one live session, and we also did online. We were providing an opportunity for parents who weren't able to be with us to actually join us. So we had good turnout, probably a little bit more of a turnout online, believe it or not. And when we do have MAP again, we will be offering the same opportunities. MAP doesn't happen again until May, so those are only 2 points of administration each year.
The rest of it, I think.
Yeah, okay, all right, great. Well, thank you very much for your time this evening. Again, we're really happy to have a tool that gives us a different dimension into your children's learning. And we will continue to communicate with you. And if you have any questions about this particular survey from your perspective when you receive the results, please don't hesitate to reach out. Have a good evening. John, hand it back to you.
Thank you. Melissa, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate you bringing that results to us and helping us with that. I have been monitoring comments, and I'm seeing lots of percentages and specific numbers relative to budget reports. It seems most appropriate that if you want to get more detailed answers about that, please reach out and schedule a meeting to come in and go through that with us. We're happy to also set up a future meeting where we can have those numbers more specifically on the table to put in front of us. It's really hard to be able to answer those questions without a document in front of us right now, or to be able to pull a presentation together. I have record of all the questions on here, so thank you for that, and I'll take note of those and discuss those with Jim Young. I think you pointed out that he was the author of the report there at a certain point in time. Let's just schedule a time and be responsive to that. If you have specific questions and you want to go through the report with us and have us explain what you are seeing, as we do with the board on a fairly regular and rigorous basis, both in the finance committee and the full board, then we're happy to sit down with parents. And please, if you don't get a response to an email for whatever reason, remember, email's not perfect. Messages go astray. So call us. Reach out to us, reach out to a different email address so we can follow up. But please just call us and reach out. We can talk to people. Reach out, come to our offices. Secretaries, if we're busy, we'll arrange a time. I have in my emails, everything I send out has a Calendly link so you can schedule an appointment with me at your discretion. My phone number's there. You had it at the beginning of this meeting as well, so feel free to reach out to me. We're happy to schedule meetings and talk and meet with parents. We maintain generally an open door policy. If we're busy, there are people there to take care of you and schedule a time and figure out how to fit you in. But we're very happy to go through these materials and explain them in more depth to anybody who has questions. So for the person asking questions, again, when I see the comments, I don't see who it is that's writing to us, but later I'll go into the Facebook page and it'll be recorded there and we'll go through those comments and we'll try to reach out to you to answer those questions that you put on the screen tonight. So please know, we want to try to answer those, but for me to try to answer those specifically right now without knowing which report or what page you're looking at or what it is that you may be referring to, it's very hard for me to answer those questions here on the screen. Let's see. Take this off then and come back here and just say, again, the other thing is we opened up for you to be here live so that we could have more conversation. We're happy to do the comments and make sure we're still meeting our needs, but there was a parent request to create these live opportunities for parents to come here and be able to ask and answer questions. And I'll continue trying this again, but as you can see, we have limited turnout tonight, and I would hope that we could potentially have more turnout in person. And then we can also stick around and answer the questions when we're live and together like this in the room. We can stick around and have coffee together and really answer those questions. And certainly, we've got PTO meeting coming up on Friday. Many of us will be there, so if you want to pull us aside at the coffee, we're happy to answer questions there as well. And so, and if you need coffees for other topics, whether it's MAP or whether it's terrace metrics, just reach out to us on the info@aswarsaw.org, and we'll look for an opportunity to schedule something to allow others to come in and do additional sessions. We have many engagement sessions going on at all levels, and I saw coffees being scheduled for various topics. We've had many parent meetings on everything from college planning to transition. We've got 5th grade rolling up, 8th grade rolling up. All of these things are happening on a regular and rigorous basis. So read your emails, make sure you're up on everything that's happening, and participate. Come and join us. And don't wait on your questions. As I've always said, please reach out. We respond as quickly as we possibly can. And if a message goes astray and you don't get an answer right away, send a follow-up and say, hey, I reached out to you about a week ago. You may not have got my message. Get a confirmation. And if you still don't get a response, something's amiss, and it's time to make a phone call and follow up. And please feel free to reach out to us. All right. Seeing no other questions in the stream as far as I can see right now, I think it's time for us to bring the evening to a close. Again, I want to thank Dr. Toka and Peter Hootie and Gita and Melissa all for joining us tonight. I'll give you one more look at the crowd so everybody can wave to you and say goodnight. And with that, I'm going to bring this town hall to a close. There are lots of activities going on, so please make sure you're checking notes and participating in that. And go get your gala birthday party tables together. Tickets are still on sale, and we're really excited. I heard many conversations about gathering friends together and doing crew tables and people getting together. And so it's really exciting to see it all come together. On April 20th, we get to bring this year of celebrating our 70th birthday to a big pinnacle with our gala celebration, and we're just excited as can be to have this wonderful time together to celebrate 70 years of ASW. It was great to talk to our open house on Monday. We had new prospective parents in play, and they loved our early childhood center since we were early childhood focused this time. But it was great to be able to say to them that we are this school with this amazing history and this wonderful community that is supportive and helpful and asks all the right questions so that we can make sure we're staying on the right track. That's what we're here for. We're here for the community and for the collaboration and for the fellowship. So have a great evening, everyone. It's been a pleasure, and we'll schedule the next one in live again, just like we did this time, and see if more of you can join us here in the NPR. Have a great evening, and enjoy the rest of your week.